Okay,
We're live. All right, we're back live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Tour Life. Today is Tuesday, January 28th, and boy, did we have some news drop this week. I mean, the biggest news this week has to be Jake Paul versus Logan Paul.
No, are they finally doing it?
Yeah, they are doing it, but I'm kidding. That's not the biggest. That's not biggest. We got Big Jerm joining the podcast. Great timing, actually. We were trying to get him on the podcast last week. Turns out, hey, sometimes patience is key. Coming off a big win with the new bag. That will be at the end of the podcast. So he's over still in New Zealand. So right now it's probably like, I don't even know what time it is over there. I want to say we filmed that at 4 and it was 10 o'clock. So it's probably like 1 in the afternoon over there.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. So he's out and about. They're exploring and doing all that fun stuff. So we didn't want to take away his entire day over there by him coming on live. So that is filmed, pre-recorded. That'll come on at the end. I think we sit down and talk to him for like a solid hour. It was
we were planning on 15, 30 minutes, and then just
a lot to talk about. Also in the news, Dynamic Disc is letting everyone go. I mean, we kind of saw the writing on the wall with Ricky and Kona. It finally got, made of note. We did reach out to Ricky and we did reach out to Kona. I actually got to see what Kona's situation is, but we did reach out to Ricky. It sounds like no news as far as where he's going. So he said, hey, let me wait a little bit. I'll come on the podcast a little bit. So he'll be on probably in the next couple of weeks. Innova also is making some moves. We'll get into that. We have a few other contract updates that went down, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour also announced the All-Star event. But before we get into all that fun stuff, Yuli, how's it going, brother?
It's going good. Beautiful day here in South Carolina.
Yeah.
After some horrible weather.
Cold,
not much to talk. Warmed up though. Today was about 55. Tomorrow's going to be 65, I think. And then it's going to get cold again. But not much to talk about on my side. Just been chilling, doing the dad life, man.
Nice. Kona also responded. She said she's going to take a few days as well. So hopefully we maybe get her on the podcast. We haven't had her on I want to say we did have her on, but it's been a while. So definitely want to just kind of see how everything is going, how it all went down. I think there's a lot of questions out there.
Yeah.
Writing was kind of on the wall with those guys. So hopefully we'll get them kind of on. My week, not too crazy. Got to play a little disc golf here and there. But yeah, the weather is tough. I mean, it's like 30. Sometimes the wind chill will get even down to the 20s, which is just, again, not the greatest practice. And then unfortunately today, Moose Man, our pup, got injured.
Oh no.
He which I don't know how it's possible, but his nail must have got caught in something and he ripped his entire nail off. So shout out to Dog Mom of the Year. Kelsey had him in the car straight to the vet. And they had some of the nerve was still kind of coming out of his his area. So they had to put him under, do a little surgery. Then they put like a fake nail almost on it, like a harden, to kind of make sure that all the nerves and stuff are good. And hopefully he'll be all right in a week or so. But
brutal.
Dude, I have this video of him and like you've seen those like David After the Dentist. You remember that kid?
Yeah.
He's in the back of the car and he's just like this. And then he also, when he sleeps with his tongue out. So his tongue's sticking out. He pops up and he's just like, and Kelsey's like, oh no, you can go to sleep. Cause he's like still kind of coming back from it. And you can just see him fighting it. And he's just like, it's the sweetest little video ever of him just actually trying to stay awake. But yeah. Let's jump into it before we jump into it, we do have a sponsor for today's podcast. Shout out to Magic Mind.
A little over a year ago, I hit a wall. I was juggling work, life, everything in between, and my focus was slipping. I wasn't sleeping well, and honestly, I was just trying to get through each day. Sound familiar? I started learning more about something called mental wealth. It's the idea of building long-term resilience, much like saving for your future. We all know the importance of financial savings, but have you ever thought about investing in your mental resilience? Mental wealth means setting up habits now, like prioritizing sleep, exercise, diet, managing stress, and even using natural supplements that will support you when life gets tough. This is where Magic Mind comes in. It's not a quick fix, but it's a tool that's part of my daily strategy to stay sharp and focused. I've been using Magic Mind's focus shots in the morning for the past few days, and honestly, it's been a game changer for my clarity and mental energy. No more mid-morning slumps or jittery crashes, and at night, Magic Mind's sleep shot has helped me unwind and fall asleep faster, giving me the deep rest I need to recover for the next day. Magic Mind has bundled their focus and sleep shots together, and if you're looking to build your own mental wealth in 2025, now's the perfect time to try them. They're offering 45% off the bundle using my link below. So take a moment today to think about your own mental health journey. There's no better time than now to start building your mental resilience for the challenges ahead. With Magic Mind, you're not just improving your focus during the day, you're investing in your ability to recharge and sleep well at night. Let's make 2025 the year we prioritize our mental wealth together. Click the link below or go to magicmind.com/tourlifejan to get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle. Invest in your mental wealth now with Magic Mind.
Shout out to Magic Mind. Silas, real quick, do you have the power to make mods in our chat, our live chat?
Yeah.
All right. For the next
Who are we modding up?
For the next 2 minutes, guys, put whatever you want in the chat, and Silas will pick some of you to mod. Silas, it's up to you. You got to make sure you're picking the right people. So we don't. I noticed that
Are they just texting? Like
no, they're putting stuff in the chat of why they, maybe they say I've watched every episode.
Yeah, say why you think you should be a mod.
Correct, because I've noticed we don't have any mods. Make Shay a mod. Make Shay and Doc a mod. I know those two guys should be mods. But
mod them up.
Yeah, mod. We gotta get some mods in the chat, size. We don't have any mods. Get some mods in the chat.
We got Doc.
NJ Morgan, he needs to be a mod. Mod NJ Morgan up immediately. All right, so let's jump into it. While Silas goes through and mods you guys up. So Dynamic Disc comes out today. Boom, Ricky gone. Boom, Kona gone. Now, I don't think that was a super surprise to any of us. I knew right away when there was rumblings, and I texted Ricky, hey, you want to come on the show? People are talking, and he didn't respond. I knew right away something was up, something's in the water. And clearly, I think we all kind of had a feeling that this was coming. They ended up putting out their videos were very interesting because I think some people were making jokes that, the helicopter thing, how we all thought when they did that was like a little bit over the top. And I don't know if they're like playing into the joke, but they had the helicopter scene in their like farewell videos. But they pretty much said the same thing in both posts. This is the one that they had for Kona. 3 years ago, Kona and Dynamic Disc embarked on an exciting journey during a time of significant growth in the sport. Over the years, we collaborated on engaging social media campaigns, innovated new products. After careful reflection and extensive discussions, we have mutually decided to part ways for the 2025 season. Kona, has been a true pleasure working with you. We are deeply grateful for your passion and creative contributions to disc golf. Your future is undoubtedly bright, and we wish you all the best in your next endeavors. So, I'm going to start first with a comment that I saw, Yuli.
Okay.
And I think there's obviously a lot of people that are, when bad stuff happens to people, and let's be real, like no one wants to have their contract severed before the end of the term, right? What do people love to do on social media? They love to dogpile, right? They love to make fun, jump on, all this stuff. People are making fun of Dynamic Disc for making these contracts. People are jumping on Kona and Ricky. I'll say this. I think this comment actually sums it up the best. These signings were back when disc golf was at its peak. When disc golf was going crazy, you couldn't keep disc on the shelves. We also had huge announcements, right? This was back when Discraft was making big new moves. MVP was making big moves. Innova was making big moves. Everyone was making big moves, right? Everyone was making these big signings. All this stuff was happening. I think you have to give a little bit of credit for at least Dynamic Disc trying, because had they not signed Ricky or Kona back then, I think a lot of people would have said, what the heck is Dynamic Disc doing? They're not going out and getting anyone. All these other people are signing all these big contracts. Dynamic Disc didn't do anything, right? That would have been the narrative back then. Now, ultimately, it looks like these contracts probably didn't work out return investment the way they thought, hence why they're ending them. But I don't think you can fault Kona. I don't think you can fault Ricky. And I don't think you can fault Dynamic in this situation, because ultimately they all tried to do something. Ricky and Kona got paid. Shout out to them. And Dynamic tried to stay with the big boys. They tried to make a big splash, and they did. Those were big signings. It just ultimately didn't work out. Am I wrong there, Yuli? What's your take on it?
I think my take has to be, it has to fall on the manufacturer for it not working out, especially on Ricky's side, because he played so well during that time.
Some of the best.
And
seasons.
so, like, when I look at Ricky, he obviously signed the 4-year, $4 million, and nobody was surprised. You know why? Because it's Ricky.
Yeah.
And he does it all. He not only plays, I mean, he's the second best player in the year, or second best player in the world right now, finishing behind Gannon last year. Had that battle down the stretch. And so, to me, that if there is blame to be had, it has to fall on the manufacturer for not being able to get that return investment, because he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's playing well. Second best player in the world. People love Ricky. You know? And so at that point, like, yes, big splash. Yes, them doing that really helped other players get more money. It brought the level up, however much that was for Kona and Ricky. But I mean, was it a bad business decision? I don't think it's a bad business decision. I think it's a bad business plan after the decision.
They made one bad decision. They should not have announced what Kona's contract was. Ricky, no one ever brought up his contract. No one ever said how much he was getting paid. No one said anything. I mean, obviously people were bringing up the Bitcoin, right? That gets brought up a lot. But no one ever brought that up. Why? Because he was still playing at the highest level possible. And so that was never mentioned, right? The Kona thing, by putting that money out there, she was now being compared to other female players, mostly Kristen Tatar, because I think Kristen Tatar signed a deal that was maybe just I want to say hers was a little bit more, but not by a lot, right? And so now that ultimately put a ton of pressure on Kona, but also, again, at the end of the day, what did that do? A lot of people are like, Kona's getting paid a ton of money. Oh, people are saying that both of them got paid $500K. So this kind of goes back to my whole thing of there are a lot of people that support people in disc golf because they feel like they need to be supported.
Yeah.
Right? You walk by the guy begging for money for food, and then you give him money, he puts it in his pocket, and he hops in a Lexus and drives off, probably going to think twice about giving someone money. So as soon as the contract was announced, not only did it put a lot of pressure on Kona to play better, but now all those people that might have been supporting Kona because they wanted to support her, well, why do I have to support her anymore? She's getting paid a crap ton of money. Am I wrong there?
I think it's as simple as this. It's sports. There's bad investments being made all over the place.
Sure.
Typically, you get a player, you sign them to a big contract. Guess what? You get hurt, and you're sitting on the bench for years, and they paid millions of dollars for that player.
Yeah. It's tough.
Kona just came off of a Pro Tour win at Waco.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And why not invest in a player like that? Social media was off the chains compared to everybody else. Just came off a big win, had a great season.
No, it wasn't
potential. It's not a bad. It wasn't bad.
Was not
it ended up going. It ended up going bad because, I mean, she had some really bad injuries.
Yeah,
one. I mean,
she had bad.
She didn't play good.
She started getting the yips a little bit with the putting too, which caused. But again, I think she felt the pressure, Yuli. Like a lot of these people can go out and play freely.
Well, yeah, once you get hurt and then you have a couple bad tournaments, it's hard to come back from that. I'm not saying anything like that, but that's just sports in general.
But if you're the backup quarterback, Yuli, you get more leeway because the team's paying you a couple mil. If you're this big hot shot that's getting paid $20 million to come in and change your organization around and you don't start performing, you're going to get so much more backlash. And that's what I'm saying is when she started playing poorly, people knew, wait, she's getting paid this much money. Why? And that's pressure. That adds a lot of pressure. And obviously if she would have played better, that pressure would have probably gone away a little bit. That's why I was saying I don't get why they made that announcement. I don't think they needed to. Because if you don't tell anyone how much money, do you think anyone's expecting that they're paying her $150,000?
I think that's kind of a thing that
more 125 for 4 years.
I think more people should be open and honest what they're getting paid.
If you did that though, a lot of people would feel a lot more pressure, and also it would hurt a lot of people. Because again, there are people out there that buy people, like let's use King Climo because he just came out with new discs. If they would have been announced that King Climo signed a $1 million deal, do you think his disc would have sold better or worse?
I don't think it would make a difference.
I don't think they sell as much. I don't know how.
I don't think that. I don't think that's
really. You don't think
I really don't know. I don't think if you're getting a lot of, like, Paul Macbeth signed a 10-year, $10 million, and they flew off the shelves.
It's not for everyone. I'm saying it's not for everyone.
So just certain people.
Yes, certain people.
I don't know. I don't know if that's.
There are certain people that buy people's discs simply because they want to support that person. They feel like they have to buy their disc to support them.
I don't think you do that with superstars, man. I really don't.
I mean, a lot of people are saying that in King Climo's in the comments though. A lot of people are saying like he needs to get paid for all the stuff. I'm going to buy stuff, support that. If he's already gotten paid, why do you need to buy that stuff?
To me, that's a ridiculous comment. I know what you're reading.
I'm saying there are people in disc golf that do that. Okay. I'm telling you, I don't know what it might be 10, it might be 15, it might be 20%. It
might be 2.
It might be 2. I'm saying there are people that do that.
Yeah,
also, I have to shout out this comment that I saw roll through. It was very funny. My analogy with the homeless person taking your money and then jumping in a Lexus. They said, well, in this version, they didn't jump in a Lexus, they jumped in a helicopter. So
okay.
But yeah, my point is it kind of goes.
People buy stuff for all kinds of different reasons. I mean, that one guy bought your disc so you could sign it and you could throw it in the lake.
No,
there's all kinds of.
I completely agree with you. All I'm saying is there is a portion because of the grassroots nature of disc golf and the family and everyone helping out. There is a portion of people that buy discs.
That's up for the lower tier player. I really believe that. I feel like, oh yeah, we need to help this guy get going and get on tour. You know what I mean? Like once you're established player on tour, like.
Do you think Ricky sold more discs before he signed that big $1 million contract?
Sold more discs?
Do you think more people were willing to buy his stuff before? Because here's the whole thing. I think
you're looking way too far into it. I think it's Ricky Wysocki.
I'm not. Because ultimately, one thing that disc golf, the manufacturers in disc golf have more than other sports is so much more on personalized merch. Other sports, they just want you to use their product. There's not really the personalized merch is such a smaller thing, right?
It's shoes in big sports.
When you yes,
thing ever.
And Nike, you have a point there. Yes, I agree. But still, I think even then they're still trying to get you to become a Nike buyer, Adidas buyer, or whatever. But take away the shoes. If you look at it like, let's just go back to NFL. If you're, and again, this isn't apples to apples, but when you draft a player, you're not thinking in your head, how many jerseys is that player going to sell?
Sometimes you are.
Sometimes you are. Tim Tebow going to the Broncos. Tim Tebow maybe going to the Jags. But most of the time you are thinking about how many seats, how many ticket sales are we going to get, right? And so what I'm trying to say here is disc golf, I think, is a little bit backwards, a little bit opposite of other sports where it's so much focused on your personal, how many get freaky zones can Brody sell? Not how many people that normally throw an AX3 or a distortion or a whatever, how many of those people can we get to buy a zone, right? That's not what it's looked at. It's more about personal stuff. And so when it's personal stuff, it's a little bit different. Do you see what I'm saying there? I guess I do agree with you. I think the number is smaller.
No, I hear what you're saying. I also think, I mean, to say it in the nicest way, but before the signing of Ricky, like Dynamic wasn't known as like a super big company. And I don't think they were afterwards either. And so I thought it was always like a smaller company that people went to. They had like their grassroots team. And I mean, they wanted the big Ricky to come in and sell millions of dollars in product. I don't know. I think
my point at the end of the day is if disc golf wasn't backwards and Dynamic only cared about trying to get people to buy their disc and not try to buy Ricky's disc, I think he would have been more successful.
I hear you. Yeah.
The reason for that is because just the way that the Tour Series discs are set up, those are literally the reason Tour Series discs exist is literally manufacturers saying to the fans, hey, you want this person on tour and to play, you need to buy their disc. And to me, I think that's where it hurts the player long run, because when you tell this person, everyone, hey, well, this guy's getting $1 million a year, well, then why do I need to buy his Tour Series disc? I don't need to support him. He's getting $1 million a year. He can pay for himself. You see what I'm saying? You see where it doesn't make sense?
I don't know. I think it's we're all speculating that
100% speculating.
That
that's fun.
That like Kona, for sure, that Kona and Ricky didn't make enough to fulfill their contracts. Like, we don't know that. And listen, hear me out. They get bought out. They get bought out, and the whole company went down. They get bought out by the big corporate, house of discs. That's when I saw the decline. Before that, we never heard whispers of, oh, they're not making money or blah, blah, blah.
That is
blah.
a good point.
We go to the Dynamic Disc Open, and to me, it looked great.
Yeah.
One of the years they didn't have the amateur tournament there, but you can't tell me that when they had that a few years prior, and there's 1,000 people there, that they're not making money and they're not selling a bunch of Ricky stuff and a bunch of Kona stuff when there's 2,000 people walking up to their booth. You know what I mean? And it's that town was all Dynamic. That's what they had going for it. I don't know globally how much they sold, but I know for that week they had to have made a ton of money.
Yeah,
and I think maybe some bad investments is why we're talking about this sever of contracts, because they can't afford it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We didn't really talk about that too much. I mean, we saw them lay off a bunch of people as well, and to think the reason why they're doing all this
was because of Kona and Ricky.
And Kona's,
that's crazy.
Probably not the case. Now, did they potentially overpay them for what the market and disc golf is right now? Probably. Yeah. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the only way to really make a whole bunch of money off of a player is if that player gets their own mold. Straight up.
And we don't know if they did make the money. That's what I'm saying. Maybe they couldn't make enough. And they
I would love to have Ricky on. Hopefully he can kind of give us a little bit more info on this. But here's a question for you. What happens to a player's disc once they leave? So someone brought this up saying that there's the Wysocki Bob Felon, the General. Those are like Ricky's disc. Do they normally just change the name? and just send them back out as a new disc with a different name?
Maybe just restamp them, I guess. I don't know. Can
Like
you
they're not
restamp them?
like they're not gonna go away with the Saki Bomb felt.
It's like it's like when
right?
the team doesn't win the Super Bowl and they send the shirts all out of country.
Well, I mean more like the mold. Like the mold doesn't they're
mold.
not gonna get rid of it. They're just gonna come up with a
I
new
was thinking
name,
about
right?
inventory. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't sell, like he doesn't reach the amount
they
they need, and then they have
just chop it up.
50,000 of Ricky discs right there. Can they reuse them?
Yeah, I think so. I think you literally can just chop up the plastic again and reuse the plastic.
Oh, okay.
Which is actually kind of nice. But
That's cool.
They don't get rid of the mold. They just probably change the name, right? They're just going to come up with a new what's a name they haven't come up with? The Assassin? No, they probably have that already. The Outlaw, is that a disc? Did they have the Outlaw?
That's like a what is it? Legacy disc. The Assassin, I think, is a gateway disc, maybe.
The Bang? Do they have a Bang?
I mean, we got a banger.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to come up with new names. There's only so many bad name, bad guy names or whatever their naming system is. But yeah, so hopefully we'll have them on. Hopefully they'll have a little bit more information on what is gonna go down, where they're going. Did they have, like, Big Jerm kind of had the security guard there? Thanks, Doc. Did they, like, Big Jerm? We're gonna talk to him later about did MVP reach out before you knew you were living in Innova? I think all those things really matter. So, we'll talk about it more.
But also thinking about Ricky's contract, $4 million is a lot of discs to sell. It's a lot.
Yeah, you start doing the math.
Yeah.
And have you done the math?
Do I look like I ever done math?
So I have $4 million here.
Yep.
You divide that by, let's just say it's expensive disc, $25, which is an expensive disc.
Yep.
You're selling 160,000 discs.
Oh, I could see that happening for sure.
Like I said, it's definitely possible when you're making new molds, when it's a new disc. It's a lot harder to sell 160,000 discs when it's just got the Saki Bomb on there and someone else can buy the same exact disc for $5 cheaper.
I mean, he was hustling himself. He probably sold 5,000 himself just on his live Instagram.
It's a lot of discs, man. People are also saying some of Ricky's discs were over $30, so maybe even less discs than that. So
yeah, that number isn't crazy to me.
It's not crazy until you start thinking about all the other people that have to sell that many discs.
Yeah, but they're not Ricky. That's what I'm trying to get at here.
No. I'm saying some people have to not return investment.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you have to sell 100,000 discs. I have to sell 100,000. Paul has to sell. Paige has to sell. Chris, all of a sudden you start saying, like, is disc golf actually selling 25 million discs a year? I don't know how many discs they're selling a year. That just seems like a lot of discs. I don't see 25 million people out there playing.
Well, you got to think about it like this too. I got a little information as far as like retailers and stuff. How many, like, let's say 800 retailers buy 200 a piece. That's just like that. Boom. That's not a lot. And it adds up quick. You know what I mean? For one disc. I don't know. That's not a crazy number to me.
Maybe we can get Edwin. Edwin, do some research if you can. Find try to get close to how many discs are sold in a year. That'd be that's like when you walk up to third grade and it's like a big jar of M&Ms and you have to try to guess how many M&Ms are in the jar. I was never close. I was like always I'd guess like 104 and the answer would be like 456. So maybe we're just way off. Maybe we sell 150 million discs a year. Who knows? I mean, I didn't think about all the Amazon sales, all the Dick Sporting Goods, Play It Again Sports. Wow. Okay. Next thing on here, Innova. This was an interesting story that came up. Did you see this one? Innova starting a partnership with Emporia State University.
Yeah. I did see that.
What you just were talking about, dynamic discs, Emporia, go hand in hand. Eric McCabe, who I think still works with Dynamic Disc or has some sort of connection with them, I think. he's like the coach of the team.
He said in the comment of one of those, I saw I think they pinned his comment saying, "Don't read too far into this. I still bleed Didi."
So what's the thought there?
I don't know.
That just seems odd to me.
Well,
unless DD is literally saying, "Hey, we have to try to cut the budget completely." Because like, how much does it cost to support a disc golf team? They're literally in your city. That's like,
but how much do they even own of it? That's what I'm saying. How much? You know what I mean? Like, they got bought out.
Oh, you think they don't have? Oh, you think they're not making the play? You're not making the play calls.
Yeah.
You think House of Disc is like, "Hey, we're not doing this," and DD can't do anything? Oh, that sucks. Oh man, that sucks.
That's 100% what I think. I mean, look what happened. Listen,
because this is
I'm going to throw Rusko a bone right now because I've known him for a very long time.
Yeah,
and he's a pretty savvy businessman. And I think he might have made one bad one, or maybe he got a pretty good chunk to sell his company to House of Disc, right?
Yeah.
And maybe he's got some nice money in the bank and he's sitting there laughing in his chair. But there's no way that dude isn't just calling the shots right now. There's no way, because he's too savvy of a businessman. I'm telling you.
We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get some more news.
Maybe we can have him come on here.
Yeah, maybe
he's been on before.
Yeah,
when I mean, does he still own that the Champions Landing?
Have you watched? Have you seen what's going on with that? Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
I heard.
Not good. Some people are saying that Innova might have bought in the land and the property that the DD factory's on. I mean, here's the thing: if you're a company that's struggling and you're just trying to get out, and you're a company that's flourishing, it's the best time to buy the other company out.
I just don't see a guy like Jeremy who started in his trunk of his car, builds it up to whatever. Like, he's had to have made a little bit of money.
Well, yeah, he bought the country club. He made a crap ton of money. He made a whole lot of money.
So then that's what I'm saying. Then him and Eric and all those guys, they're letting all of them go. They're the same people.
I'm just saying, Dynamic Disc might be slowly just like a sinking ship. Like, there might not be a Dynamic
obviously
Disc.
They're getting rid of their players and they can't pay them.
I know, that's kind of sad though. I think Dynamic
for
Disc
sure
is
it's sad.
It's like a decent brand name in disc golf, but all right, we'll see what happens. What else we got? AB's new disc. We just found out. Silas came on. He said, "Hey, did you guys know the cicada? The Spanish word for cicada is the cigarra." I said, "No." I just thought it was like some sort of cigarette or cigar play on words, but apparently that's what it is. So it just got approved by the PDJ. It looks like it's going to be a modified overstable cicada is what the Cigarra is. So
it's amazing, by the way.
I might try that out because the cicada is pretty much a passion for me. So there's no reason for me to put a cicada in my bag. But a more stable passion sounds nice.
Goes farther than a passion, I think. Fast. I think it's faster.
I always throw those all the same distance. It's probably just my form. We got a couple other contract updates to talk about.
Let's get them.
So big signing here, because I think she is probably the closest to pushing Kristen Tatar. Silva Sarnen, 4-year extension with MVP.
Mm-hmm. They're making some big moves. Dang.
If she can figure out how to throw an additional 50 feet.
Don't think she needs to.
Really?
I really don't. I
think it wouldn't hurt if she could.
I don't think it look at Own. She could use some more distance.
Yeah, but Own can't win a lot of tournaments.
No, I know, but I feel
Kristen can win every tournament. We need someone else that can win every tournament.
I think she can. With the distance she has.
Right now, I don't think so. No, you watch.
You think it's that big of it? She's giving up that much distance.
Because she uses flippy disc to get her distance. Where Kristen can just power something out there, you have way more control. If you watch her on the bigger holes, she's having to like flip something up, and it's it's way harder to be accurate with the flippy disc like that.
I don't know. I think she just needs to learn how to win a few more. She won like 5 in a row, but not at the big stage. Once she can, because she was winning a lot of tournaments this year on the big court or right there, and kind of choked down the stretch. That's what happened. Like,
no, I don't
she like
disagree.
3-putt, like a awful 3-putt or something?
Oh,
was it at Green Mountain? Was that it?
Did she 3-putt some? Oh, she might have on 16.
It was something happened. Something happened. I know that, and I'm just saying.
Man.
It seemed like she was in the hunt a lot of times, and then the final round. Here's what I look at. Okay, when I hear stuff like what you just said, need more distance. Okay,
I said it couldn't hurt.
Yeah, I look at it like this. Like, if I was a coach, I would say, okay, where are you going into the final round? Because that's really where your potential is.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? Like, if you're always kind of bad and then you have the great final round, we need to work on how you start. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How you finish gets better over time. That means you have the complete game to always be there, and then it's just about finishing. Like, that's the tough part. And the only way you do that is by getting there often, and then you learn how to win a bunch. I think I saw her like in contention a bunch, so I'm not worried.
I feel like it's in contention a bunch at specific courses, and that maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe someone can fact check me and say I'm wrong. But like, I felt like last year, like the players that could really compete against Kristen at multiple courses, like pretty much anywhere, right? Because we believe Kristen can win any tournament if she plays well.
Yeah.
You had Holland Hanley. I think someone like Ella Hansen has the game for it. Missy,
but Missy doesn't throw far at all compared to them.
She would be on the lower tier for
you think she throws farther than
I think
they're pretty comparable, and that's my point.
I think they're about the same. Yeah,
there you go. And Missy wins a bunch.
I think Missy would tell you that she would take 50 extra feet if she could. That's my point.
Oh yeah, anybody in the world would say that. So would Kristen.
But I think watching Silva throw, I think she could get 50 extra feet. Is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, there's potential there to get.
Correct. I think that's what I'm saying. I don't think she's tapped into it. So who knows? Maybe she's going to come back this year and she's going to be freaking throwing 70-mile-per-hour missiles.
That'd be cool. That's one thing I don't think we've seen really in the FPO division is somebody over an off season just figure it out and then start bombing.
Holland Hanley is the only person I would say like that had a huge jump.
Yeah.
In the off season.
Yeah.
He had a huge jump.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden they figure something out. Yeah.
Valerie starts throwing 400
because it's untapped. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I don't know. I see it like on the pro tour. I'll watch somebody play like Braden Sides, for example. I played with him like 2 years prior.
Monster.
Nothing. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden he came up to me. He's like, yeah, we played at this tournament over there. And I'm like, that was you? Like, you two are not the same person. You know what I mean? Huge jumps like that. As far as distance putting and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a handful of FPO players that definitely can have that untapped potential. And the only reason I don't like have Missy in there is because Missy's just on the older side.
Yeah.
You know, she'll be the first to tell you that, you know, it's a lot harder when you get older to like improve when you've been playing for a while.
Especially when you're winning.
Yeah, it's tough to be like, I need to change stuff.
Yeah.
When things are already going for you. A couple other announcements. We have Zach Melton re-signing with Dynamic Disc. Just when we thought. Just when we thought.
For $4 million or what?
Yeah. $4 million 1 year. Zach Melton. Could you imagine? That would be awesome. He like comes in as a private jet, not even a helicopter. Roll out the red carpet. So like, man, I guess they're not going away, but there's definitely stuff going on over there, man. There's definitely stuff going on. Ella Hansen also signs a 2-year extension with Discmania. And we have Nathan Queen, 1-year deal with Infinite Disc. So those were all of the sponsorship announcements that I saw. So we're still waiting, obviously, on Kona, on Ricky, and I believe the last big one is Joel Freeman. Haven't heard anything from him.
And Burridge, Robert.
No, I think he's open bag.
Really? He announced that?
I believe so.
So he's not sponsored.
He might be sponsored by like a retailer or something, I want to say. Am I crazy there? Maybe I'm not.
I didn't see anything about it. So
Yeah.
I sometimes live under a rock. So
I sometimes live on a rock too. Oh, they're saying that's not real. Is that a real company? That's a real company?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Learn something new every day.
Under a rock.
Discology. All right. Before we get into the big Jerm interview, which, like we said at the top of the hour, we said that we were going to be, at the beginning of it, I was like, hey, we only need you for like 15, 30 minutes. It's an hour-long interview, guys. Buckle up. We go through a whole bunch of stuff. He talks about some stuff that he's never talked about before, which I'm always a fan of people opening up and talking. We dive into some great topics, so stick around with that. That will be coming probably within the next 10 minutes or so, so stick around. Pace of play, not only an issue, Yuli, in disc golf. Golf is also starting to have a major issue with it. This past week, the final group took over 3 hours to play the final 9.
That's crazy.
They brought it up multiple times on the broadcast, people talking about how this needs to be changed. It's a major issue, and it's going to continue.
Well, golf's gone like this year. It was like kind of going up too, and all of a sudden viewing went completely down. One of the reasons why you got the Tiger effect, though, with him not playing any event, like he plays one event and you're ready.
Oh, everyone's gonna be watching again.
I'm
sure.
watching, yeah.
But they need to figure out a way of fixing it. And someone did like a deep dive. They recorded, there's a Twitter thread someone tagged me in. They recorded the entire round of coverage, and they went back and literally wrote down literally everything. And I mean, it's a detailed, and once you start reading it, it's really disgusting with just how few of shots you're seeing, how many commercial breaks. I mean, he said at one point they went to commercial like 2.5 minutes, came back, showed 2 shots, and then went back to commercial for 2 minutes. I mean, that's disgusting. That is disgusting. So disc golf's not the only one that's trying to figure out the pace of play issue. Our main issue, I think, with pace of play is we play with foursomes, and that's because we don't have enough cameras. And also there are some people that just suck and they take forever. So we fix those 2 things. I think pace of play speeds drastically forever.
I mean, this is a problem just in sports and the new age of social media and being able to watch a reel like this, boom, 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 you get everything that you want.
Yep.
It's hard to sit down and watch something for 3 hours. You know what I mean? I mean, that goes even in baseball. They had to change rules and like overtime rules and everything, put somebody on second because we can't keep eyeballs on it. So it's a thing everywhere.
Yeah, everyone's trying to. What I want to see disc golf do, though, is I want to see them try to improve on it. That's all. I feel like other sports have taken notice. Maybe golf is also the one that's not really doing much. Other sports have taken notice and have tried to make improvements to speed up pace of play. I haven't seen that yet with disc golf. I would love to see this upcoming year them actually do so. I mean, because it works. They put that little time thing or whatever at the beginning, show up, or you get, 2 strokes. People started showing up on time, and there wasn't like any people starting late. So, just implement something and get it going. Simon had a discussion. I think it might've been one of his latest videos. I thought this was an interesting question. Someone tweeted me at it. So shout out to whoever tweeted me this, because I think this is a good question. He wants to know if there was a 3-disc challenge, Yuli. So everyone got the same 3 discs, but the discs were all mystery discs. They weren't any molds that we know. They're brand new molds. And then there was a tournament to where people kind of had to figure out on the fly what these discs did, and you didn't have that much time to practice with them. Who do you think's winning on that? Who do you think is picking up how to throw discs?
Big Jerm, apparently.
Okay, he's a good one. He's a good one.
No, I don't know. That's kind of a fascinating idea.
Because you hear people when they go to like a different manufacturer, they're like, it's going to take me a month to figure out my bag.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that some people it's a little harder than others. I think
Macbeth is up there.
Yeah. I think the better your form is, the better you understand flight characteristics and what you're trying to do. See, Gannon, yeah, but if he doesn't know the discs, I don't know. I think I think Nico would be a great one.
Nico would be a good one.
What I think about is somebody who has a crazy amount of angles. So, like, if you think about Nico's release point, it can be super spike hyzer, and then it goes all the way up to here, and you don't see a real drop off in his accuracy. Super accurate at all those angles. You get what I mean? And then there's some guys, like, and it's not a bad thing, like Nate Doss had like 3 angles that he threw 3 discs on, and he used those ones, and he was, great. And so then you look at like even Gannon, he's not changing his angles a lot. He's throwing like the same disc on a little Anheuser.
He just started throwing a little hyzer this last season, but you're right.
When he has to, but
you're right. I like that. Someone that's comfortable throwing a bunch because you don't know what disc you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so if you don't get the right disc for your throw, you might be screwed.
Yeah.
You might be screwed. I like that. That'd be a fun little tournament, though. Get everyone out there throwing the rock around, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Before we jump into Big Jerm's interview here, I do have an announcement. Ayuli, too. I'll let you have the floor after this, too, because I think you also do have an announcement as well if you want to share that with everyone if they didn't see the announcement on social media. Our first collab stamp. So for those that don't know, we Discraft and Foundation are going to have more of a partnership this year, which I'm really excited about. That was something that we were able to work out with the contract. So our first collab stamp is dropping this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're bringing out kind of an OG design that we had, but I think we only sold it at a tournament, I want to say. So not a lot of these were even out there to begin with, but this is the Keep Slinging Them Disc stamp here. Discraft Foundation collab. And these are going to be UV Glow Z zones, which I'm really excited to see how those bad boys are flying. And then we also have ESP Glow Nukes as well. So these, again, are dropping this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Foundation Disc Golf's site. Also, because we have a whole bunch of new stuff coming in, to make room for it all, we're having a massive, massive sale on the Team Discraft, or a huge sale on a lot of the Team Discraft stuff that you saw last year. Awesome. So definitely check that out. Again, foundationdisc.com this Friday. That's where it all goes down. And Yuli, go for it.
I don't know what I'm talking about here.
Oh, I was going to talk the Brixton news. I was going to give you.
I got you.
Yeah, I'll give you the floor to talk about that.
Yeah, no. So they announced, obviously, that I am an investor in the company, which is awesome. I've actually been a silent investor for a long time, and then we got some more investors like Paul Macbeth, and so then I was able to come out and actually say it. So, I mean, they're doing great things. Every single shop that I go to, they ask, now that they know that I'm an owner, they ask like, "Hey, I need more of this product in here," which is awesome. And you've done a lot of this stuff on Whatnot on your platform, and it's going really well. I mean, I think the product is great, and I'm excited for the partnership and to push it forward. I mean, I've always been in love with sports cards, and it's a great opportunity. Brixton doing big things.
Yep. All right. Size, did we miss anything?
Nah, I don't think so.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay.
Just got Big Jerm on the way.
Yeah. So without further ado, I think everyone's really excited for this. Big Jerm coming from us down under New Zealand. Enjoy the interview, guys. Now by the man himself. We were just actually talking a little bit early. He said, "Hey, I guess I got to win a tournament to get on this podcast." We actually wanted you on the podcast before you won this tournament because you have a lot of big news happening. But first and foremost, congratulations down under over there. Is it still down under over there?
Yeah, it's the tour
That's
down
the
under.
tour.
So I think everything is just down under if you're below the equator is my guess. I generally refer to down under as Australia as well, but I guess they accept it over here in the land of the Kiwi.
Fair enough. I guess next time I'm in like South America, I'm going to say I'm down under. See, I don't think it works over there.
Ugh, this is grody. I don't like it.
We'll see what happens. But congratulations on that. We did get a nice little view of the place. That place looks incredible. We were going to go and talk about that. I'm sure we'll have enough time at the end to talk about that. But I want to jump into something that I don't think a lot of us saw coming. And that was the announcement that you were departing Innova. So can you give a little bit more backstory on like when did that start? When did the conversations happen? Was there a back and forth of trying to make it work? How did it all go down?
Well, I mean, I think anytime a manufacturer targets a player, the courting process kind of begins with general niceties that they share with you years before you end up actually begin real talks. And the guys at MVP have always kind of just looked at me and been like, we really like what you bring to the table. And
very flirtatious.
Yeah, they're a little flirty. And it's not like, cheating, but it is like, you just say, hey man, it's cool that you guys are interested. And so I've known for a while that MVP was an option if for whatever reason Innova and myself decided to part ways. The process kind of started in November when a lot of contract renegotiations begin for the major manufacturers. And
was your contract up at the end of the year?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was at the end of a 3-year deal, or 2-year, actually, gosh, I don't remember. But either way, it was the end of the contract, and I knew that mid-season. And, there was like a lot of anxiety that I had felt that maybe this season was going to be maybe my last season with Innova, or that my offer from Innova would not be up to what I wanted, just because I honestly started playing like crap after my dog died, and I just was depressed and I wasn't having fun on the course, and disc golf wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't my focus. And, when it got down to it, like, I don't know how important that is for me and my fans and like what my influence brings to the table. But at the same time, like I hold my actual performance on the course to a very high standard. And if I don't perform up to that, then I feel like I'm not doing my job. Even though my job is so much greater than just being a good disc golfer, I still was a little bit nervous that maybe that might affect any sort of contract negotiations. So that being said, I don't really think that really played a factor in my negotiations with Innova, but the offer that they initially brought wasn't really good enough for me. And so I began to go to the people that I knew were interested, and that ended up coming back with MVP. And, it was a shock to my system at first because, man, this is a whole new language I have to learn. Gyro technology is like, how different can it be? It's a disc, it's a circle, I throw it, we find out the flight, we repeat, but gyro technology does introduce something different than other discs, than single mold discs. And it is something that is a new language that I just wasn't familiar with. And so it was a big undertaking. There were a lot of moving parts at play. There was a couple of things I had to sacrifice to allow this deal to go into effect. And one of those things, actually, I haven't actually mentioned it anywhere publicly yet. So this is the first time that I'm announcing this, but I'm officially leaving Pound Disc Golf and leaving Bag Boy, because of MVP's cart offering and their bag offering. They want everything to be under one umbrella, and I totally respect that. And so it was just one of those things.
The Simon and Eagle departure from Grip as well.
Right. And they want their players, to use their equipment. And I would want the same thing. If I were the owner of MVP, I would want the same exact thing. And their offerings, they're great. They'll be fine. It's just a long-term relationship that I'd had with Levi from Pound. So that was a bit sad, but, anyways, that's just part of the deal. And so, that all took place kind of in November, December, and the discs came in, and I started going to work as much as I could in the 40-degree temperature of Charlotte, North Carolina. It's been a pretty cold winter. But genuinely, the first time that I had thrown the discs and suitable temperatures was when I came down here. So it's all been like really quick for me. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've basically learned my bag.
Wow. Let's go back to the Innova contract real quick. What was it about the contract that made you feel like, this is going to work for me? Was it the financial side, the length? Maybe they only wanted to give you one year deal. What was it, if you are willing to talk on it?
Yeah, I'll talk about some of the things. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about all of it. I'll just say that one of the things that was important to me is that MVP was offering 4 years. And at this stage in my career, I'm not trying to play a year and a half and then start worrying about the contract at the end of the year and a half. I want to secure myself with a brand. I want to cement myself to a brand. I don't want to switch brands every couple of years. It's not my goal. Loyalty was a part of my decision that made it really difficult. Like when I said initially that I wanted to retire with the wings on my back, I meant it. Like I thought that I would finish my playing days, in my 60s or 70s with Innova. And then, not 60s, 70s on tour, obviously, but I'd still be the local guy. Everyone's got the local guy who's still sponsored by their company that they've been with forever. I wanted to be that guy with Innova. And then, something happened when the idea of the switch began that I didn't anticipate. And that was the learning the discs is part of the love of the game. And it's a part of the game that everyone has when they first start playing. And there's this new excitement of this thing that you want to create these shapes and lines that, that really, like when you do it, when you successfully, create this shot, there's this excitement. And I haven't had that excitement because I haven't had to learn discs in 8 years. And the process of getting back out to the course and there's like a childlike quality to it that is just so exciting. It's like playing with a new toy. And that really brought the love of the sport back to me. And it has been lost for a while, honestly. And I hated that. Like I found myself at points last season. And I know that Yuli and I have talked about this. This is something that all disc golfers who've been on the tour for a long time experience this. But I didn't want to go play the second or third round of a tournament. I didn't have any interest in it. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't anything new. There wasn't anything fresh, but I was doing it because it's my job. But it felt like, man, if I'm really truly being honest with myself, this isn't something that I'm enjoying right now. And that's just, you get burned out when you're on the road for a long time. And, this is refreshing. This is like stirring the waters. This is like bringing back this thing that I remember from my early 20s and my early 30s that there's a love for the sport again. And I think it's one of the things that was really exciting about the move. But anyways, going back to your original question regarding the Innova thing, not offering enough years was a big thing for me. And I also feel like with what we've been able to do with all of the brands that I've represented, I've always tried my best to represent my brands in a very natural way, and I don't try to hawk products. I just try to show them in their use in the world, and I think that we've been really successful with that. And by showing me in the field of using these products, I think that they sell very well, and we have a great platform with Jomez to do that, and I think that there's a lot of value behind that, and I think Innova is doing a lot of hard work right now trying to figure out what the value is on their investment in a team. And I think that they've got an incredible disc golf team, but they're also saying goodbye to a lot of players who are maybe not bringing the attention to the brand that they want. And I don't think that was an issue with me necessarily, but I think that it just came down to, they have to make sure that every investment that they make is going by their, they call them bean counters, their accountants. And if they don't feel like they want to do a 4-year deal, then I totally understood that. And I just wanted a little bit more safety in that regard.
Has there been a noticeable shift around the last couple of years with how Innova has been attacking their contracts with players that were already on Innova? Was there rumblings kind of happening of it looks like they're headed this direction of where they've picked their people that they want to ride with, and because we've kind of seen it with other people of where they're not really necessarily just letting people go. It's just other people are getting better offers elsewhere and they're not matching or trying to keep them. Was that something that's been like talked about? Like, were other players noticing that was going to potentially happen?
I don't necessarily think that's the case in this regard. I think Innova thought that I was also an Innova lifer. This was a surprise to everyone. I think coming down to the final decision to part ways, I think this was a big shock for all of us. But I do think that they are just asking new questions. I think that that with the shift with Dave Dunapace, he's still in charge at Innova, but he's kind of passing the reins off to his son Coben. And Coben is, he's a business person. He's not a disc golfer. And I think that he's asking questions about the team that are more business related and not necessarily like a disc golfer at heart related. And I don't hope that doesn't come off offensive. I just think that that's like who he is and what his background is. And I think that he's asking questions that any person who's serious about their business would ask. And like, what is the value of a player? I think that's kind of where he's coming from. And so I don't think that they're going to stop investing in players by any means. I think that they're serious about having a great disc golf team. I just think that they're just asking that question.
Did they know your MVP deal? Did you say, hey, listen, this is what MVP's offering. Can you guys match that?
Yeah, they knew there was a deal on the table. And when they gave me my offer, I gave them a very fair counteroffer. And at a certain point, the counteroffer didn't even if they had accepted it, I don't think I would have been happy, because I think I was really looking forward to learning again. I think that became a rebranding is such a strong move for a person in their career, and something that I actually really started to look forward to. And so, had they accepted my counteroffer, I think I would have been conflicted. And so I think in the end, it was the best move for everyone.
The other thing that I noticed with Innova that, honestly, a lot of the companies do this. Some do a little bit better than others, but I would say Innova is more on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to like marketing their players. They're not really going to put in a whole lot of effort creating content or getting their players in, matching their players up. A lot of that is going to be on the player themselves, right? Where honestly, it's kind of across the board in disc golf, which I've always talked about as being backwards. Players should pretty much almost do nothing, and the person that is paying for your likeness and all that, they should be trying to figure out, how do we put this guy in a commercial? With that being said, on Innova's side, do you think there's also a little bit more thinking, and same with MVP, of, hey, this is a market we maybe already have? And what I mean by that is like maybe an overlap with you and Sexton with Innova, where MVP looks at you and your market with MVP. I don't think there is much overlap with Eagle, Simon, and James Conrad. Like, you're coming in and probably being able to hit a completely different audience. Do you think that's starting to happen more with manufacturers? Because I think before it was just kind of like, oh, you're 1030 rated. All right, you're on our team. And there wasn't this real idea of like, hey, let's be strategic about who we're picking and choosing here. Do you see that being a little bit more happening more in the future?
Oh, certainly. I think that the age of social media, we're well into it already, and I think that brands are getting smart about where they're putting their dollars, and they're really putting a lot of time and effort into making sure that each player can present something that brings something unique to the sport and brings attention to them in a way that maybe no one else is maybe covering that niche. And it's a really tough place right now for a really good disc golfer. If that's all you are, this is a tough place to be right now. You're in a weird spot. I think we're seeing it across the board. I think that people are seeing that if you are someone who is kind of quiet and you're quietly great at disc golf, there's a lot of value to that. But people want to see the personalities in players. They want to see the relatability to an individual. And I think that relatability is what sells. And ultimately, MVP is, they might like me as an individual. They might think that I'm a great disc golfer. They might think that I'm a great commentator. But none of those things matter if it doesn't, in the end, ultimately relate to sales and some sort of awareness of the product to a new market of people. And so if they believe that I can bring that, then there's a value associated with it. Obviously, that's just how it works. Like they might think, hey, you're a great athlete. Congratulations. But they're not paying me because I'm a great athlete. They don't care about that. That's only part of it. They care about it, but it's only a small bit. So that same question is being asked by all manufacturers. Okay, great. You can throw the disc in the basket. You're a great putter. You have poise. You have the X factor. But what are you bringing to the table that is separating you from the others? What are you doing that is bringing new eyeballs to our brand that would make, in an 8-year-old with, a family of 3 wanting to buy their discs?
Well, and the other thing that's important too, and I think manufacturers are really having to start to look at this, because I talked about this a couple years ago, is I was like, there is a serious cannibalization in disc golf right now, of where if I'm someone and I love MVP, I have $50 to spend, let's say, on discs. If I buy $50 worth of Simon discs, MVP is like, that's great. If I buy $25 of Simon discs and now here comes Big Jerm and I spend $25 on Big Jerm, that doesn't, like, you did not impact the market there. What really needs to happen is the person that is going to spend $50 at MVP shouldn't be trying to target that. They're trying to figure out the person that was initially going to spend $50 on Innova, but now Big Jerm is on MVP and now they're taking their $50. And so, like, that is something I think manufacturers, the good ones, are actually looking into, because anyone can sell good discs, right? Like, anyone can sell good discs. The question is, how many people that were not going to buy MVP discs are now buying MVP discs because of you? That's the value. Because, I mean, I've said it from the get-go. Discraft, you put anyone's name on a zone or even a new mold that comes out, it's probably going to sell good. It just probably is. But what happens when you put 10 people, they all have zones? The cream rises to the top, because now people have to pick, like, whose zone to pick. So I think that's something that with you,
that's a good point.
MVP bringing you over to the table, I think they're looking at that as like, we are now going to potentially grab money that was going to go elsewhere that is now going to go into MVP.
Sure.
I got a question for both of you. Sorry, Jerm, do you guys think that, like, manufacturers in general are missing the mark? My question stems from what you just said, Brody, or actually what you said, Jerm, of like, oh, you might be a quiet person who's really good at disc golf. I feel like I see in other sports, you can market that in a way, and then you see the teams do that. And in disc golf, it's up to the player. And so, us 3, we're really lucky because we're charismatic and we have no problem putting ourselves out there and creating stuff for the fans. And it also goes to the point of Brody saying, hey, did Innova market you very well? Well, when I watch, like, the Disc Golf Network, I see you on the Pound commercial. I see you on a different commercial, and I don't see an Innova ad with you on there. You know what I mean? And it's possibly because you're doing the work. I mean, you're the one that's doing. Sometimes you're doing the live.
Why pay for something when it's free?
Why pay for it? But then it goes back to, okay, these quiet people. Is there like a shiny, diamond in the rough right there, to where I think of like a Kawhi Leonard? He's very quiet, and I saw them market that in a way to where all of a sudden he was in commercials, and they kind of like brought that out and they like leaned into it. Is there a way the manufacturers can do that to those really good disc golfers who are kind of quiet, or is that just something that is way off down the road?
No, I'll answer that one first. First off, I want to say, if New Balance hasn't done it yet, they should definitely introduce a line of Kawhi Leonard merchandise, because that's kind of good. But I think there's a way to. You don't have to be like us in that, like, we are obviously all extroverts, and we have big personalities and we have a big platform. That doesn't have to be the basis behind having recognition in the sport. I think people just want to be relatable. And sometimes you have to share that you're quiet. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but I think that just letting people see who you are in a way that is genuine and honest can relate to somebody who feels the same way that you feel about something. Like, hey, I don't really like to put myself out there, but like, you know, there was a time when Chris Dickerson had shared that he was struggling with anxiety on the course. And there's so many people who struggle with anxiety on the course, and being vulnerable was something that, you know, I don't know if that was an intention. I'm sure it wasn't an intention on Chris's part to use it as a marketing ploy, but in the end, it's great marketing to just be vulnerable and honest with people and letting people see who you are and the things that you struggle with, just like everyone else in the world. Because in the end, of course, we're just people. We're just dudes and girls and guys and people that are throwing frisbees. And just because we have a platform, you know, there's an elevated status or whatever, and people see us and whatnot. But relating to people in a human way is really, really powerful stuff. And when I personally went through the my whole dental operation, and I shared the story of how tough it was for me emotionally to get started, and how freeing and how invigorating it was getting through it on the other side, and then sharing the results with everyone. That message that I shared was initially targeted towards people who might have dental issues to go get your dental stuff checked out. But what it ended up being was so much greater. It was sharing vulnerability with people and saying, hey, like, I have these demons that I have that I've concealed forever, and now I'm addressing it. And people started coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, like, I fixed my eczema. I stopped smoking. Like, I went to the doctor and got checkups because of your message. And that to me was this really powerful marketing message that I didn't realize I was doing at all. I was just being vulnerable and sharing something that was really tough for me. And people love that. And I think that everyone has their own message that they can share with the world. And you don't have to be super creative to do it. You just being real with people is really all you have to do. And if people knew how to do that, to tap into that realness and to share a message with somebody or with the world, that vulnerability will pay off for them, I think. So I think that's something that would be my advice to people who are looking to really let people see who they are. And I think that will pay dividends for them.
Yeah. 2 successful ways to go about being successful on the internet. First one is the one that you just talked about. Just be real, be honest, be yourself, be the same person that if someone's going to bump into you in the grocery store, exactly the same. Now, negatives to that, people aren't going to like that. There are going to be some people that don't like that, and that's going to come personally back at you. How do you respond to that? That's tough for some people. So then the other way of going about it is being completely fake, being completely a fraud, turn into a character. Everyone thinks you're this person. And then the benefits of that is if anyone doesn't like you, you're like, well, that's not really who I am, right? So you don't take personal accounts. But the problem with that is now you've pigeonholed yourself to where you only can post that content and be that person that's not you. And that's actually really challenging. Those are the 2 things to do. I think, honestly, on tour and in professional athletes and celebrities and all that, we see both sides. We see some people that are completely fake. There's some people that are on tour that the way they act online and to fans and all that, it's completely different than who they actually are as a person. And then we see other people that are completely upfront and honest with you. It is what it is. Like I said, there's successful people on both sides. At the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to decide what you want to do. Because I agree, some people can't handle it. All 3 of us have had people attack us on social media. Not everyone can handle it. So it's not for everyone, is what I'll say. And no matter how raw or real or how nice you are as a person, there's too many people in this world, someone's not going to like you. There are people out there that do not like vanilla ice cream. That's all I need to say about that. Go ahead, Yuli.
No, I was going to go back to some of the contract stuff. So yeah, you said you found the passion again for disc golf, and you went through a
he didn't find the passion.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I found the hex and I found the tempo.
Okay, fair enough.
But what about like leaving Prodigy going to Innova? Did you feel that same thing, or through different stages of your career, has it felt a little different? And obviously, being, here's your middle of your career, and we're up here.
Yeah, let's cover them all. Okay, so I was originally approached by Kirk Yo at the 2007 USDGC while wearing an Innova hat, Innova shirt, spinning an Innova disc in my finger. He said, "Hey man, would you be interested in joining Discraft?" I wasn't obviously affiliated with anyone. I was just an Innova fanboy there to watch Ken Climo win his 5th USDGC. And when he asked me that, it blew me away because I hadn't even won an amateur tournament, not even an amateur C tier, but he saw what I brought to the table. He saw that there was potential there, and he was a Discraft sponsored player, and times were way different back then. Players could get picked up just on potential, and that's what happened with me, and it meant the world to me. So when I joined Discraft in the winter of 2008, I wore that brand's logo so proudly. They trusted somebody who was unproven, and I said that just meant the absolute world to me. On top of that, their team relations, the discs were all incredible. I love Discraft. When Prodigy came around in December of 2012, it started with a phone call with Yuli. And Yuli said, "Hey man, have you heard about the new company that's coming out?" I thought he was talking about Dynamic Discs, which had just announced that they were going to be making discs. And he laughed on the phone. He was like, "Are you really?" And somehow 8 to 10 of my best touring friends had kept this secret from me because it was like this really big secret. For a year and a half, they had been building this brand Prodigy. And man, when that news had come out and the excitement of the promise of what that company could be and the potential of being like a part owner and getting paid monthly, what? Are you kidding me? This was too good to be true. And I was going to be given 1% of the company. At Discraft, guys, I want to be with you guys forever, but there's an opportunity. It's too good to be true. I gotta explore this. And Discraft said, "Hey man, we can't offer you 1% of the company, obviously, but we could give you $1,000 a month, which is what Prodigy was offering."
1% Discraft right now.
Yeah, dirty. Exactly. So, but Mike and them, they were, "Hey man, we're going to be sorry to see you go, but we understand this is an opportunity that's too good to be true." And it was very exclusive. There was only 12 members of the original Prodigy team. So I hated leaving. I really didn't like leaving Prodigy. Leaving Discraft. But I did because the promise, and anyone in my position would have made the same move. So we go 4 years down the line. 2-year deal with Prodigy, re-up for 2 more years. So 4 years with Prodigy. Win the USDGC quicker than anyone else ever in 3 rounds. And I
I like that take.
That's a great take. Took you guys 4 rounds, only took me 3. Suckers.
What? So going to the negotiations for the next season, and I had felt, this is really getting honest here. I had felt more like a number to Prodigy than an individual. And to me, the connections with the brands that I would associate with have to be really deep. And for me, it was very surface level with Prodigy. And that was just, it's not that they didn't have the right people. It's just the connection wasn't right. I was doing very well with Prodigy. I'd won a lot of really great tournaments. I won my very first tour event with Maple Hill. I won Memorial, and then I won USCGC. I won 3 of my 5 tour wins with Prodigy. The discs were great. My connection with the brand, even though I really liked a lot of the people at the company, just wasn't there for me. And I didn't see the growth in the way that I had hoped. And I felt like my brand was getting bigger than what my position at Prodigy. And again, that's not to, I hope that doesn't come off as condescending to Prodigy. Just my personal connection wasn't there. And my stock had gone up tremendously with my 3 tour wins. And so now there were offers on the table that were much greater than what Prodigy could offer. And going to Innova was this opportunity that felt so right. I was living at the time in Henry's house. Henry Childress was my best friend. He's worked at Innova. At that point, he'd worked there for, over 10 years. Now he's nearly been there for 20 years. And I got to go back to this company that was in my backyard in Rock Hill, and everything made sense. I was friends with so many people at the company. And so the move to Innova really felt right. I didn't have that much resentment leaving Prodigy. But when I joined Innova,
did you make
like
that
I said,
move by yourself, by the way? Or was there other people that were like, hey, let's jump ship?
No, that was just totally on me. I wanted to be with a company that I thought that I could grow into and not had found the eclipse of what Prodigy was offering me at the time was as much as they could offer. And Innova could offer a lot more just being a bigger company. And also, like I said, the discs and all that, like Innova's disc offering is obviously legendary, and it wasn't anything to do with Prodigy's disc offering because, like I said, my discs with Prodigy were great. I was looking to grow, and I thought the best potential to grow was with Innova. And so anyhow, a fantastic move for me. I loved every bit of being with Innova. And then this last decision was a couple things. One, long-term, 4 years. Two, MVP is a newer company. And in terms of the major manufacturers, MVP is one of the newest ones, right? Coming out in 2010, starting making discs in 2009, but they've only been around for 15 years. And in that time, they've had to continuously progress their product. They are a progressive company. They listen to feedback and they change. They are plastic people and manufacturing people that became disc golfers. They are not disc golfers who became manufacturers. So their facility reflects that. Their facility is state of the art. Nothing in the sport of disc golf is even anywhere close to what they're able to do in their facility. It is one of the most impressive tours I've ever taken in my life. And
is it like a science lab?
It is. It is. Their quality control is to the next level that I can't even describe because so much of it is proprietary. But like the things that they're doing there, other companies aren't even. It's not even a thought. Like they're investing.
Cleansing room that you have to step into before you walk in, where it's like all
the
air.
You got to wear the hazmat suits and all that. Yeah. No, it's really impressive facility. And Brad and Chad and the team manager Andrew, the excitement that they have about what they're doing is just so palpable. I mean, you step into that factory, and this is the home that they've built, and they are so happy to show it in all the intricacies of what they're doing. It's just so fascinating, and there's a lot of room to feel like I can help MVP in ways that like. What can I offer to Innova in that regard? Like Dave has invented the triangular rim model. Like he has brought disc technology to a certain level. What can I tell Dave? You know what I'm saying? Like this he's got it all figured out. Brad and Chad, not to say that they haven't got it figured out, but I feel like I have an influence and from a different perspective that can be useful in the brand in a really meaningful way. And I think that that's the excitement of being a part of that is another value that being a part of MVP brings. And, I just hope that I can bring my expertise or my experience, I should say, and expertise too. I'm not going to downplay it. Like what I've done over the last 20 years of my life has been crafting a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, a lot of connections, but also an understanding of good product, how to make a good product, whether that's a disc, a bag, a cart, etc., and offer that feedback to these guys in a way that they might not have ever thought of before.
Yeah,
that's well put.
And I just want to say too, I think the easiest way, just from like a grand level, is like taking a step back and trying to figure out like how can I tell if someone's like a worthy sponsored player. I think the easiest way is how long have you been with the company? And if you're someone that every year, every 2 years, you're bouncing from one company to the next, because we all know disc sales go up when you move to a different company. It's just the way it is. Like if you don't sell at the company you currently are and you go to a new company, that first year you're going to sell discs because your fans that already have your discs are going to buy your new stuff, right? But what really shows is like, who's able to stay with a company, because that means that company wants them around. And your resume that you just listed off of where you've been with these people for multiple years, and in a market right now where most people are signing 1-year deals, you're one of the few that got a 4-year deal. So I just want to congratulate you on that, because that's a big thing.
Huge.
That's a big thing. And speaking of discs, let's talk about the forehand discs a little bit. So you mentioned somewhere that your forehand mid-range game is better right now than ever before. What is it? What does MVP have that maybe Innova or Prodigy didn't have for you to be able to have such a better forehand mid-range game?
I will say this: if I were a player that was sponsored by like Infinite or one of those brands that allows you to throw any discs you want, which is a great deal to have, by the way, for those people who are in those situations. If you're not throwing a hex, what is wrong with you? The information is out there. It's an incredible disc. I think that maybe the gyro technology is maybe the most apparent maybe in their mid ranges. I think there's something about the extra weight being on the actual rim. And by the way, if anyone's ever questioned how much that gyro stuff is real or not, when I went to the factory, I felt the core, just the center part of the disc. They call that the core. Though they're so lightweight, it's unbelievable. I didn't weigh them. I don't know exactly how much weight rests in the actual rim itself, but it's actually staggering how much of the weight of the disc is actually just there on the perimeter, and its ability to create that centrifugal force. It's really neat stuff, but it translates to mid ranges extremely well. I initially took mid range forehands for granted when I played with Discraft. When I threw the Buzz and the Meteor and the Drone and the Zone, of course, the Wasp, the Hornet. I mean, I threw it all. Like on my mid-range, there was probably 7 mids in my bag, because I flicked all of them and I loved them all. And I just figured, okay, well, a disc is just a rim and a speed. It's just a feel, a flight, a speed, and that's it. It's not that simple. When I went to Prodigy, I quickly encountered that not all mid-ranges are created equally when it comes to the torque that a forehand presents to the rim. And I found that I could throw the M4, but I couldn't throw the M2 or the M1 or the M3. Like, they all fluttered. And I felt like is this my fault? Am I doing something wrong? I didn't know what the heck was going on. I could throw the M4, but I can't throw the M2. The M2 is more overstable. Why is this happening? Well, when I joined Innova, same issue. I could forehand the Gator, really overstable, but any of their straight stuff like the Mako 3, I'd flick it and it came out fluttering. And I recognize that the rim angle, sometimes when they have that plus rim or the slightly bowed out rim, the closer it gets to 90 degrees, the stronger that shoulder is as well on the flight plate, and that connection between the rim and the flight plate. If there's some integrity there, then you can forehand it. But a lot of manufacturers will create a slightly bowed out rim for ease of production, and so they can get the rims off the machines quickly, and at the sacrifice of not necessarily creating the best forehand friendly inner wall. And it was frustrating because there's a part of my game that just became dormant. And the part of my game that I would argue was what separated me from my competitors back in my Discraft days. Like, one of the things that got me recognized enough to get the opportunity and the privilege to join Prodigy was that I was throwing some incredibly unique shots. Nobody else was throwing forehand mid-range straight shots. They were throwing the overstable mid-ranges, yeah, of course. But the straight stuff that required touch was something that I kind of brought to the game in a different way. And for the 4 years with Prodigy and the 8 years with Innova, again, this is not meant to be a slight at them. It's just their focus was on creating a great mid-range that was great for backhand predominantly. But the forehand stuff wasn't something that they specifically targeted down. And it's just something that I don't know if MVP was thinking about it when they created their discs, but they just so happened to create my favorite lineup of mid-ranges ever. Like it rivals I'd say rivals. There's no I don't feel like I have a hole in my mid-range lineup with forehands. And that's incredible because I have every shape that you want to create, and each disc, even the most understable stuff, has integrity, and I can flick it at hyzer and it will hold hyzer, or it'll late turn, or it'll go dead straight. I have all of those options, and it's not easy to do. It's just their discs happen to react very well to the amount of spin that I put behind the disc.
So the age-old question, are there actually forehand discs? The answer to that is yes.
Yes. Absolutely. I 100% agree that there are forehand discs. It doesn't mean that they're exclusively forehand discs. I think all forehand discs translate well to backhand discs as well, but I don't think all backhand discs translate to forehand discs.
Yeah, no, I
just the way that you put your finger in the rim.
Yeah, I agree with you too. The flutter thing is definitely an issue with some of the discs, and like you said, trying to get that figured out, trying to get that lineup to where you can be able to throw your forehands. Because I think overstable, I've never had any issues with like flutter with overstable discs, but whenever it's a straight or understable disc, that's when the flutter does show up. So that's very fascinating. It's very.
I was just always able to throw whatever. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yuli figures it out.
I'm just kidding.
Has your disc already come out? The Axiom Tempo, is that already released, or the pre-orders?
Yeah.
Or all right, so
no, they're already out.
If you guys want to go try some of those, if you guys want to go try some of those, you can go to MVP's website. I'm assuming everything's through that website.
Yeah, they should be available through a lot of retailers as well soon. I'm not sure if they've arrived in stores yet.
Okay.
But they should be arriving in stores coming up now any moment, because they took those orders over a week ago, and so I'm sure they started shipping on all that already. Basically, if you're looking,
sneaky numbers that you can tell us,
like flight numbers.
No. Like number of discs sold.
He wants to know production.
I haven't asked those questions yet. No, I'd love to know. That is something that I'm really looking forward to. I think MVP is going to be transparent about that, and prior sponsors haven't been transparent with those numbers. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to, and just kind of having a better idea of like what's actually happening with products that my name is on. I think it's really important. I think the players should have that information. So that's exciting. The Tempo is going to be, for anyone who doesn't know, if you're a fan of the Zone, but you want something that has a little bit less overstability at the end of the flight, and maybe if you want your disc to turn, like not turn, but just barely move a little bit. Like if you're throwing right hand, forehand, if you want it to move just slightly left and then just kind of stay on the straight profile with a little bit of tail end, that's the Tempo is perfect.
I think that's what everybody wants.
So it's a stupid good disc. Honestly, it's like one of those things where I was trying to learn it in the cold, and as soon as I came down here to New Zealand, and like I was like, all right, this is it. I'm gonna really give this. I'm gonna give this a shot. I started throwing it, and I was just like, why is this thing going 300 feet? Like, again, don't take this the wrong way. I absolutely love the AVR X3. And if I had an open bag, I would still have an AVR X3 for like those 230 to 270 foot approaches. But if I want to throw something that's going to be a little bit more reliable in the wind and go a little bit faster, I would definitely step up to a Tempo, just because I think that it's certainly quicker. It's a lower profile. It's got a little bit more aggressive rim, but it is stupid good is the best way to describe it. And the MVP people already know, but the people who haven't tried it yet, it's just worth a shot because it might introduce a flight that you haven't quite found yet.
That plastic looks really cool too. The plastic.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Is it just Axiom? Is that what they call that plastic?
No, I'm looking in here in my bag to see if it's in here or if it's in.
It's kind of similar to what Discraft is doing a little bit with their like confetti or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What do they call that?
It's in my disc. Okay, so
I think it is confetti.
The plastic itself. The plastic itself is made up of glow particles in the actual rim, so it actually glows under blacklight, and maybe not to the magnitude of the storied MVP Eclipse glow, which is the standard right now in the glow market. But it is, I hit it up the other night with my blacklight, and I'm trying to go to sleep, and like 30 minutes later, I mean, the thing is still like, it looks like it's got radioactive material attached to it, because that stuff is just like, it holds glow light better than anything else out there. It's just not quite as bright as your typical glow disc. But the longevity of the glow is still like top tier. But it's just so cool. It just looks so beautiful when you light that thing up. You've never seen anything like it before.
Let's talk before we let you go. Let's talk about the big win. Obviously, You go over to New Zealand, and you have a tournament beforehand. You played 3 or 2 so far?
I've played 2. I got 1 more to come.
Yep. So you played the first one, learning the bag, and then all of a sudden come out this weekend. And I mean, if you haven't watched that, what is it? Go throw.
Playoff win over Ezra
Robinson. No spoilers, dude.
There's no spoilers in live disc golf.
But I have 2 parts to this. The first one is how much of the excitement goes into winning, because obviously you have the new stuff. That can also be a detriment coming down the stretch, because then you start thinking, oh, what if I win with the new stuff? And all the haters out there saying, hey, you ain't got it no more. This guy's going into Masters. Like, one of the big announcements of this whole thing was like, of course they're going to, pick up Jerm for social media pedigree and all that stuff, and then to go out there and win. Did that stuff come into your mind down the stretch, or were you pretty focused?
No, I appreciate you saying all that. I think that stuff started to come into play after the event, because when you're in an event and you're actually in contention, you're focused on so many different things, and there's a lot of things that you can get caught up in that don't serve you, and those are the things that don't really serve you, thinking about those things. I think Ricky's always been really mature in that way, where he said, of course I want all these things, but if I start thinking about all these things, then I won't achieve them. And if I just do what I want to do, then all those things that I want will come to me. And I remember he said that to me when he was like a rookie, and I was like, man, that's wise beyond your years. But it's something that's very true. And what I was just focusing on the entire time was, maybe it sounds a little cliche, but I was just trying to have fun. If I focus on enjoying myself and having a great time and genuinely being happy for every single shot that I saw that was great in this really, really windy final round, then I'm not going to hold resentment if the guy that's closest to me beats me. If I'm focused on the duality of win-loss, then there's only one way I can be happy. There's only one way that I won't be happy, right? If I win, I'm happy. If I don't, then I'm mad. Well, that sucks. Like, what if I just enjoy myself? If my focus is purely on, let's be in the moment, let's have a great time, let's appreciate this opportunity here, let's look around and breathe the fresh air and appreciate the beauty that is New Zealand, and appreciate the opportunity to be on film throwing new discs in a new part of the world, then there is no loss. I can't lose at that time, because I'm just having fun, and regardless of win or loss, I'm enjoying myself. Well, then it opens up the opportunity for my body to actually match what I want to do, which is throw the great shots. And eventually, if those things come together, then the only thing that I can control is what I can do. I can control if Ezra's going to make every single putt, which he nearly did, but that's what made it fun in the end. Incredible putt on 18. And then I came up really clutch with an incredible drive on hole 1 in the first hole of the playoff. And in the end, I just happened to be the luckiest one to win. I mean, a lot of great things came together, but like, Ezra's learning his bag. Robert Burridge is learning his bag. I'm learning my bag. And we were the top 3 competitors. And that's pretty cool. That we could learn so quickly on the fly, especially in inclement weather. I mean, round 1, crazy wind, headwind on hole 1. Round 2, crazy rain and a lot of wind. Round 3, crazy tailwind on hole 1. None of those conditions match what we did in practice. So this was literally just us figuring it out on the spot with new discs, which I thought was just really cool, extra element to the whole fun of it.
So what I'm hearing too is, if the Disc Golf Pro Tour ever stops playing tournaments in parks with picnic tables and random people walking through, and we actually go to these nice, beautiful courses, we're in trouble. Because the only reason you're not dominating right now on the Pro Tour is we're playing a bunch of parking lots.
No, that's not it. We've changed the style of course. There's twofold, maybe threefold. One, I'm aging. Two, the players are getting better, like a lot better. Three, there's way more of them. Mm-hmm. And I guess the fourth thing would be the style of course that generates the most spectator-friendly area is an open course. And that format isn't as exciting to me. I'm more engaged with the tight lines and backhands and forehands and rollers potentially and water shots and hills. I want all of that brought into a disc golf course. And when it's like long open shots, it's like, I just don't get as engaged. And I think it reflects in my play.
Yeah. No, they don't have an easy time right now, because I'm with you on that. Like courses that are just chuck it wherever and have the disc land wherever, it's not really that fun to play. It's not really that fun to watch. But also the courses that are fun to play and are fun to watch, no one can watch them. And the coverage is even bad. Like it's hard to even watch it post. So speaking of post, though, I do want to get this before we let you go. Last question for me. Where do you think disc golf is headed? Because at a certain point in time, it did seem like live coverage was having a little bit of an uptick. Like there was almost a momentum going with live. And now with the paywall, pace of play, a lot of other factors, it almost seems like now not that many people are watching live. And Jomez and post, more people are watching that. So what's your take on that? Is disc golf a sport that will be consumed more by live coverage or post?
I think it's always going to be consumed more by post. Well, maybe not always, but right now it is still in that era where we're getting, like 100 to 150,000 views per 9 holes on post-produced stuff. And I don't really know how many people are tuning in live. I don't have those numbers, but I want it to be more of a live sport because, like you said before, disc golf's a live sport. It should be enjoyed live. Sports should be enjoyed live. I think that post-produced stuff brings a really important element to the table. I think that people want to consume all things media related, whether it's disc golf or cooking instructions in a easy to consume, quicker format where you don't have to necessarily deal with the extra stuff. And so I think that the post-produce brings a really important thing to the table. So I hope that they both can coexist. I thought we feared at one time a couple years ago that maybe the post-produce side was going to get eliminated from tour. And I think that DGN made a really great decision to purchase Jomez and bring them underneath their umbrella because that keeps them both alive. I don't really know if live is going up or down. I think that once the season returns, we're going to see an uptick once again in live viewership. I hope so, at least, because I think that's the best way to show the sport, and the best way to watch the sport is to see it as it's happening, to feel like in some way, even though you're another part of the world, that you are like, you can almost dictate the action just by you watching, because people are superstitious. If you watch your favorite team, you might have your favorite jersey that you put on. And if you're watching your favorite player throw in a tournament and they're in contention at the end, maybe you're wearing the Peach Pirate jersey. Maybe you're spinning a big Jerm tempo. Maybe, you're just doing something that feels like you're interacting with it while it's happening live. So I think there's something really magical about live sports in that way. But I don't know where the state of disc golf is in general, man. It's been a really eye-opening offseason for me personally, seeing some of the players let go from some of the companies, and people moving on and people making big moves that are happening. There's a lot of interesting things happening right now. And I think that companies are starting to realize the shift of COVID and things are starting to flatten out. We had this big wave and now we went down, and maybe we're flattening out a bit here, and companies are starting to adjust to that financially and making decisions that reflect where they see the sport moving in the future. And I think disc golf is safe just by nature of it being an incredible sport and being a sport that's just going to naturally encourage people to bring their friends who have never played out with them. And then it's going to draw interest that way forever. And there's more courses being put in the ground all over the world. And I think when you have conversations with strangers about disc golf, they're starting to be like, oh yeah, I know disc golf. And when I started playing in 2006, that wasn't the case. So I think that the sport of disc golf is in a great position to grow. And the question now has become, how do we make it a sustainable growth financially? How do the companies grow? How do the brands not pigeonhole themselves in a position where they can't afford their teams? Mm-hmm. And how can it just be a sustainable growth for everyone across the board? And so we're still in the learning period of that, I believe.
Yeah, and just looking at, the biggest sport in America right now, the NFL, I just went on their YouTube, and they actually do have full game videos of all their games, right? So I'm looking right here. They posted 4 days ago the Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills divisional round full game. It has 261,000 views. So they're clearly we're crushing them. We're crushing them. We're skewed in one way where NFL it's live, right? Everyone's tuning live. Now the question is, what I would love to know, what happens if Disc Golf Pro Tour put everything out for free, right? Because right now that's the big thing. Everyone can watch, for the most part, if you have cable or internet or whatever provider you have, can watch an NFL game for free. So a lot of people are already watching it and not going to YouTube, where a lot of people have decided, hey, I'm not paying this subscription to have to watch disc golf. I'm gonna watch it for free on Jomez. And the other thing that I think is kind of interesting is I think you do need to have something different, because clearly the NFL is showing, that ratio. How many people do we want to say watch the divisional game? 20 million?
Every person.
30 million, right? So the ratio is terrible, which I don't think they care. But the one thing that they're doing, which I think would be fascinating for you guys, is because I do think down the road, what Jomez is doing and what the Disc Golf Pro Tour is doing, it's not going to make sense if live numbers go up. So I think the alternative would be, when you're done playing, Jerm, Yuli, when you're done playing, is you guys basically do the Manning cast. So it's another live alternative where you guys have other pros jump in that maybe aren't playing in the tournament, or you have other big players jump in, maybe whatever it is. And so it's this alternative broadcast. Because I find myself sometimes turning on the Manning cast during a football game.
Well, sure, also, it opens up a new opportunity for Jerm and I. Hey, if the NFL's watching this, which they probably are.
They probably are, yeah, of
yeah,
course.
They probably are. If you need 2 new commentators for your YouTube channel, hit us up.
Yeah, because clearly you guys are struggling on these numbers over
exactly.
here.
We'll get those numbers way up.
You said 260-something thousand views for the full game?
Yeah, it was 4 days ago, but it's a big game.
Okay. Let me throw some numbers at you. If we're getting 150,000 views per 9, then our full round is getting more views in total, 300,000 than the 261.
Brody,
and I don't need you to argue that. It's a fact.
I won't say
let's move on to the next subject.
I'm not saying anything.
We're trying to get a little opportunity here, Jerm and I.
Basically, I'm just saying we're a little bit bigger than the NFL right now.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of promise.
The other thing that disc golf has actually too, that's a massive advantage over some other sports. Now, obviously their highlight videos and stuff, they're going to get millions and millions of views, right? But the one thing that disc golf has is when you are watching a broadcast, you bounce around a lot and you don't get to see if Big Jerm is my favorite player or Yuli's my favorite player. I might only get to see them a couple throws here and there.
A year.
Where on Jomez, you can see their entire round. Now, yeah. I think there is some value in that. How do we expand that? How do we get that more? Obviously, the eyeballs have to come before you can start doing that with more players. But I think that is a massive advantage because that is something that is different than simply this is just literally if you watch the game, this is literally just a replay. You're watching the same thing where Jomez, you actually will see stuff that you did not see during the game, during the coverage, which I think is an advantage. Yep. So it's going to be fascinating. Yuli, we're going to talk a little pace of play. I guess at this point, we've talked about it earlier in the podcast. So hopefully you guys like that segment. We're not going to start that here, Jerm, because we could go for another hour. We already got you on here for an hour. I need to send you off. It was awesome to have you come on. Really appreciate it. I think a lot of us are really excited to see what you're going to do at MVP. It seems like a perfect fit. You're one of the guys. I remember when we filmed our first video together and we were doing the forehand stuff. I mean, you're talking all this stuff about the disc. And I was like, bro, just throw the forehand, man. Just throw the fore. And so you're someone that really, truly loves the technology, all that stuff. And so I think you're going to be a great fit with those guys. And clearly it's working. Already got a W in 2025. Yuli, do you have anything else for Jerm?
No, just congratulations on everything, buddy. You deserve it. And hey, good luck this weekend. We'll be watching. Well, I will. I don't know about Bruins, but
we got 1 week. We got 1 week between until the Nationals, and then so we got 1 week to explore, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be going out and seeing the countryside, and we're going to go get exploring as soon as we get off the call right now.
Well, appreciate. I know everyone watching and listening. Appreciate you jumping on here. Thank you guys so much for this episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one.